Good morning, my friends. The international break is finally over, which means the drought of club football is over. Manchester United are back, and this weekend, it's a big one. It's not exactly the easiest game in the world to return to. We are, of course, away from home at the Etihad against Manchester City, which means our mission for today is to look at this Manchester City 11, look at the lineup, and figure out how we can attack it, how United can hurt that Manchester City team, whilst, of course, also protecting ourselves from a defensive point of view as well. That is the mission for today. We're going to go through some clips and look at some stuff from City so far this season, but of course, always the focus more is on United, because I say this every single week, I want to see United on the front foot. I want to see United going at City, and I think we've got an opportunity to do that in this game. So that is the mission for today's stream. Before we do any of that, though, I want to hear from you guys in the chat, because we haven't streamed for about 2 weeks. I was away from home, and then some complications, and it's been the international break as well, so there hasn't been too much to talk about. So basically, how are you guys doing? And also, why have we got a weird bot in the chat trying to do work for us? What is going on there? Ignore that, guys. Pretend it doesn't exist. Thoughts on Manchester United? Also, just how is life at the moment? Thoughts on United's transfer business now that is all wrapped up and completed? How are we feeling? What are we thinking? And how do you feel about this particular match? Who do you think the key players are going to be? What are the key matchups going to be? Let me know what you think. Who have we got in the chat today? Everyone. We've got a lot of people in the chat, so I'm just going to say good morning to all of you, or good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to the stream, my friends. Guys, it's all good. We'll delightfully find Haaland in De Ligt's pocket. I mean, yeah, I think first things first, right? You look at that Manchester City 11. They are without a few players. They've got a couple of knocks here and there, a couple of doubts. John Stones, for example. But it's still a good team. You know, City aren't what they were 2 years ago, but they're still a good side. They've got Erling Haaland in their team. You know, they're going to be half decent. They've got Rodri. They're going to be half decent. City are a good football team, but I do think they have weaknesses these days. Well, they probably always have, and we've quite often been a sort of kryptonite for them. I think we can get at City. I really do. Unfortunately, we have a couple of injury problems ourselves, which we will talk about shortly. But I think it's going to be a really interesting weekend. I'm really looking forward to this one. It's one of those games where right now you could tell me any scoreline, and I would believe you. You know, you could say City win this 3-0, I would believe you. But if United win it 4-0, I would completely believe that as well. I would believe a low-scoring draw. It's a weird game. It's a weird game. Cunha and Mount have been sidelined. It does seem as though that is the case. We will come back to that a little bit later on. But yeah, it does look like that. Oh, by the way, guys, Steve's got a bit of a technical difficulty. Can you guys just check? Maybe there's a problem with YouTube. Click your like button just below the video, just to see if it works. Because it seems like Steve's isn't working, so make sure to test yours out. But only press it once, please. Steve also says that Amorim will spank Pep. Yes, please. It'll be like when Homer used Mr. Burns' head as a bongo. Lovely little reference. I love that from you. Callum was telling me that he had a shared moment with you the other day where you both got a Simpsons reference, and he was quite happy. City's defence feels weak. It does. It does. Stones and Aït-Nouri injured. Yeah, so there's some question marks around it. From what I've read, I did have a quick read up. I think Aït-Nouri is okay. John Stones is really going to be touch and go. He withdrew from the England squad, but it seemed like more of a precautionary thing. If it was Stones to come out, there's a few options that could come in for City. So yeah, that is something that we will need to keep an eye on as we go. Mbeumo to score. Yes, please. Yes, please. I would love that. He started the season so well. He has started it so well. Trying to read back a little bit up the chat. Thank God for club football. It's so good to be back. Give me club football. I like international football. I'm one of those weird people that actually like it. I enjoy watching England, even when it's not great. I love watching it. But you just can't beat club football week in, week out, back in the same team over and over again. Unfortunately, we've got another international break in like 3 and a bit weeks, which is a bit annoying. It just seems to keep blocking our season. But it's nice to have United back. And what I love about United being back is that we get to sit here, we get to waffle along and talk about what we think the Manchester United 11 could be this weekend. So that's what we're going to do today. That is what we're going to do today. And we're going to start off in goal, as always. And for the first time in, how long was it here? 2 years. 2 years. For the first time in about 2 years, we're going to do a live stream, picking a United 11. Actually, we had some because of AFCON. And Onana's not going to be in the conversation in goal, which feels a little bit weird. So who could be in goal instead? Altay Bayındır started the season in net as United's number one, and he hasn't been bad, to be fair. Apart from the set pieces are clearly a problem. But outside of that, I think he's been pretty good. We've also made ourselves a nice little signing. Le Mans in goal. Is he going to come straight into the 11? Are we going to see a Manchester derby with two goalkeepers making debuts for their new clubs? What do we reckon? It would entertain me if Šeško's first two starts for us are versus Grimsby and then versus City. As long as it isn't the same scoreline, then yes, please. Tom Heaton. Maybe it's Tom Heaton's time to shine. Onana not being in the goalkeepers is actually a +1 for us. It's just weird to not have the conversation with him there. It's weird. He's been a big part of the conversation for the last few years. Because, like, every week we sort of have the conversation of who the goalkeeper's going to be, and we always go, well, it's going to be Onana. But could we have a different conversation because he doesn't exactly fill us with confidence? It's weird. I heard he's been training. I won't be shocked if Le Mans starts. It would be a statement, right? I think if he comes straight into the team and starts his first game, particularly such a big game, I think it's a huge statement. It's us going, Bosh, you're number one, mate. Like, that would make it quite clear to Bayındır immediately that, you know, you're going to be backup goalkeeper again. We've got our new number one. So it's a big decision. I think I can imagine the poll is probably going to lead towards the new man because we like to see new players in the 11, just because it's fun. But we do have to consider he hasn't had an awful lot of time with United. Something that I've been pleased with from United is the fact that we've played a consistent back three. And of course, Bayındır has also been consistent with that. And you guys that have watched the channel for a while will know that I'm sort of obsessed with not trying to disrupt partnerships too much where possible. If we've got the opportunity to get a goalkeeper in the same back three, again, as what we've had in each Premier League game so far, I would like to do that where possible. But also, we've signed a new goalkeeper for a reason, and we want to see him at some point. Why not just get him in the team? The earlier, the better. You know, the sooner he's in the team, the sooner he can settle and get used to his new teammates. So it's a bit of a tricky one. And let's see what the poll tells us. My voice is cracking all over the place. What's going on? If you would like to get involved in the poll, just open up the chat. It's really nice and simple. Open the chat, click the poll, and click which one you want. It's simple as that. Le Mans is the fun option, but Bayındır makes the most sense. The goalkeeper and the back three staying just makes sense. Yeah, that consistency, right, of just having the same team. It does. People are harsh on Onana. His only real fault was his goalkeeping ability. Exactly right, and he's a goalkeeper. You know, what more do you want from him? If he starts against City, I'm scared it won't be a good start to his career, but I hope if that's the case, he proves me wrong. Yeah, so it's a weird one. In my head, I've sort of got this idea of, you know, it'd be Super Sunday on Sky Sports when everyone will be watching United versus City. It's a huge game, particularly with new goalkeepers for both teams. People are waiting for an error. Everyone's going to be watching that game. Is that a situation where you actually protect your new keeper? Or is it something that shouldn't come into your thought process at all? You know, if you're manager, is that something that comes into your head? That the pressure of that first game being Manchester City? Or as a manager, do you just go, I've signed this keeper for a reason. I think he's the better goalkeeper, so therefore I want to start him. Does the occasion matter? Or not? What do you think the score will be? I will give you guys my score prediction once we've gone through the United 11. And then I'll ask you guys to do the same as well. And we'll figure out how we think United are going to do. I'm actually quite confident. I'm quite confident. The injuries are really frustrating. The United's current injuries. But I'm still pretty confident about United's chances in this match. Do you think we are still too dependent on direct play and there is less variety in attacks? And is it a personnel issue or tactical? Let's quickly mute this individual in the chat, by the way. By the way, guys, if you spam messages, that's going to happen. They're going to be gone. They're going to be gone. They're going to be gone. So don't spam messages. What was the conversation, sorry, that we were having there? Do you think we're too dependent on direct play? And if so, why are we? And what's the reason? I think we are. Yes, I think we are too dependent on direct play. We saw that stat the other day in a video that I did. United are the most direct team in the Premier League so far this season. That's not a problem. You know, everyone has this view these days that you have to be a short, ball-retaining team. I don't know that that will ever be United DNA. I think United have always been a fast football team, and I like to see us playing quick where possible. The big thing for me is that perhaps it's because of the characters that we've got. We seem to fail to recognise the moment when it has to change. It's start of match fast. Sure, go for it. Go attack a team. But that Burnley game in particular, watching it in the second half, it was such an open, chaotic game when it just didn't need to be. I think what we need to do is, yes, start fast. Yes, get on the front foot. Try and play direct football if we want to do that. But also recognise the moments where actually, okay, let's take the sting out of the game. Let's keep it for 10 minutes. Now, of course, that's easier to do if we are better, right? You know, if we're 3-0 up in games, it's much easier to go, let's slow down and keep the ball. When we're always so tightly contesting games, it's a bit more difficult. But I still think United need to try and do that more. Some of that is probably on the manager, right? His ideas, the way he wants the team to attack, I would assume he is getting those messages across. I also think the personnel that we've signed and already got at the club are direct players. You know, Bruno Fernandes puts the ball at risk. Šeško puts the ball at risk. Cunha puts the ball at risk. And Mbeumo does. Casemiro plays quite direct, plays quite forward. So it's a manager thing, but it's also the players we've got, which actually maybe goes back to the manager and tells us what we're trying to do. Perhaps we're trying to be a quicker team that plays more on the break than necessarily dominates the ball. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure. I really think Xerxes will somehow have an impact in this game. I think, again, he looked good when he came on before the international break. Best thing is to introduce the new keeper slowly in the lineup. It certainly wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah. I actually wrote an article on it. I need to get around to reading that because I just do. Because I'm really intrigued to see what you've done. Le Mans is risky. I would love to see a hero performance from him. But on the other hand, we don't want to break him on the first possibility. Yeah, like what if we go out and lose 4-0? But we also can't pick our team on what ifs, can we? It's a weird one. It's a tricky one. Away to City, I'd be happy with 0-0 for 70, then bring on Ahmad, etc. and go for the W. Well, that's why on that conversation of direct players, this isn't a bad game for it. You know, if we want to be a team which does attack fast and goes for the kill quickly, City are the team to do that against. We'll see a little bit later on that, particularly in transitioning moments, you can get at these guys. You can hurt City. They're not that strong defensively in transitioning moments. The fact that United are direct, this could be literally the perfect match for it. We saw last season, to be fair, that we sort of suited the bigger games more. You know, like Arsenal in the Cup, there was a good performance against Liverpool. We beat City. We seemed more suited to those games than let's go break down Wolves, for example. So maybe this suits us. Given what I've seen of us and City, I'm quietly confident of getting a positive result. I'm quite confident, to be honest. I would be more confident if we had those two not injured, because then we'd have a really fun conversation over who you pick, by the way. But I'm still quite confident. I think we'll see something in City shortly that we can really get at. Anyway, in terms of the poll, 69% have gone for Le Mans. Nearly 100 people voting, by the way, so thank you very much to that. Le Mans is going to be our goalkeeper for this weekend. Let's hope he has a promising debut, and it sets him up for a decade of success. The thing to remember is that he is young, and he is new at the club, miles away from his prime. So if something does go wrong, if he does make mistakes in this game, or the rest of the season, or next season, just remember he's a young player, and like I said, hopefully this is going to be a long-term goalkeeper, so let's not destroy him, you know, if something does go wrong. But hopefully it won't. Hopefully he's helped by his back three. Hopefully they protect him. Who are they? Well, we've got a few options. We could go with the back three that we have seen in the first three Premier League games of the season. De Ligt in the middle, Luke Shaw to the left, Lenny Yoro on the right. I did a video on this the other day. I think it looks quite good, to be honest. I think I've been quite impressed by them. People left a couple of comments about sort of still their inability to jump out into midfield and do that side of the job. For me, that's a bit more of a tactical thing rather than the personnel. But I think these three have started the season well, particularly De Ligt. Then we've got sort of the backup brigade and an interesting conversation to have. Fredrickson, probably capable of playing any position in the back three. I would imagine it's unlikely that he plays this one, but he is an option. He is there for us. So is Maguire. Now, there's a conversation of do you go Maguire or De Ligt? You know, you pick one of them and play him as the central centre-back. You could do that. Or you could try and get both of them in the team. You could go Maguire in the middle, De Ligt to the right-hand side. If you want a bit of extra physicality, we're playing against Haaland. Pretty big, pretty difficult to stop. Maybe you need two of that sort of profile in the team. Let me know what you think. Heaven. Definitely an option for us. Definitely an option for us. And then the really interesting one is Mazraoui. And the reason why he's so interesting is because, of course, he hasn't started the season, but he played in this position a lot last year and largely did pretty well, I would say. And he just gives you something a little bit different. Now, is he fully fit? Is he ready to start just yet? I'm not sure. I would think over the international break, he probably built his fitness up. Maybe you play Mazraoui because he does bring something different in terms of his technical quality, his speed of thought. He's just intelligent. He's just a good footballer. You know, he's just a good footballer. There were loads of articles going around yesterday about how United view Mazraoui as the best signing we've made in years. And the reason for that is because he's good at football and he can do most things. You know, you almost don't have to overcomplicate it with Mazraoui. Just a good footballer. So do you try and find a way to get him in the team? Possibly. There is also a conversation which Steve has brought up a couple of times in Discord and now in the chat, of Yoro going into the middle centre-back role, sort of battling Haaland, almost initially being responsible for Haaland, allowing Maguire or De Ligt, or both in the 11, depending on how you pick it, to then sort of have like the free attack at the ball. That is an option as well, and I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. I'm also seeing Mazraoui at 6 shouts as well, and I've seen a lot of talk of that going around. Maybe I'll give my take on that at some point. David, good morning to you, my friend. How are ya? Wouldn't be astonished to see Dalot and Mazraoui as the wingbacks, to be honest. Yeah, that's very possible. I guess these days we do need to include Dalot in the back three conversation as well, because we have seen glimpses of him there, and I'd like to see it more. So we'll bring him into the conversation as well. For this, do we want a poll for each position? We can go left centre-back, middle centre-back, right centre-back. Or do you guys just want to, like, every man for themselves, battle it out in the chat to get your views across? What do we reckon? Maguire might force our backline too far back due to Haaland's speed, possibly. Euro is not that good in the air right now, so Maguire at central centre-back, also an option. I believe I saw a stat that De Ligt, on the other hand, has... I think he's got... I don't know if he's attempted or won the joint most headers of centre-backs in the Premier League so far this season. I can't remember if it was just attempted or actually succeeded in, but either way, it's a good sign. Euro is more of a sweeper. Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. In terms of the conversation with Maguire, yeah, I think it's when we're on the ball. Let's just move people out of the way over here real quick. When we're on the ball, Maguire tends to sit deeper. So De Ligt, for example, might get himself up in between the three or just behind to give the angle. But Maguire tends to be a fair bit deeper. And I think what people will look at that and go, well, that's a problem in terms of, you know, the high line. If Maguire's deep, there's going to be space behind Luke Shaw, there's going to be space behind Euro. We're leaving too many gaps if Maguire's that deep. But I actually think, for me, the bigger problem opens up in front of them. I think it's harder for the team to counter-press as a team together if you've got a player deeper. You know, let's say, ignore these players over here, by the way. These guys aren't relevant right now. Let's say you've got De Ligt in the team. It allows your midfielders, the players that would be in here, to sort of jump, knowing that the space is covered behind them. I think when you go for Maguire, it actually makes the midfielder's life a little bit more difficult, as well as the space in behind. I think that's something to consider. But, on the other hand, is this a game where we're going to be playing a high line? Or are we going to see City come along and dominate, United being quite passive behind the ball, defending the box a bit more perhaps, and looking to transition? If you're talking about that sort of game, well, then you are looking at maybe Maguire in the team, but maybe De Ligt as well. Maybe you go both of them. So it's an interesting thing to consider. It's not like approaching a game against Burnley, for example, where we're talking about who can allow us to press really high, squeeze really high, play a high line, counter press, but also give us loads on the ball. Perhaps this game is a little bit different. Maybe it's not. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. How do you think United will approach this? We've seen in the past that Amorim approaches a big game by being passive and transitional. He done it for Sporting against City, but at the time said, I won't be able to do this at United in the long term. So when does it change? Is now the time to change? Are we going to see United playing on the front foot? Against Arsenal, for example, we were pretty aggressive, to be fair. We had a lot of the ball. We controlled that game. We dominated the game. We pressed quite high. Maybe we're going to see that sort of approach, which again then leans more towards De Ligt. It's It's a really tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. I'd like to see Shaw, Yoro, Mazraoui, or Dalot, but it is too soon. That particular back three, I'd be slightly worried about the physicality against Haaland. I think we would lack the man to go up against Haaland and actually win the aerial battle. I really just hope we win. I would like that as well. If we go with my two lots of large centre-backs in the setup, we'd have Maguire, De Ligt, Yoro, Casemiro, and Šeško on set pieces. Yeah, plus I can imagine you had, for example, like Dalot as your wing-back. He's not a small boy, is he? We should go for more of a mid-block and trigger the press, being away and City definitely out for blood after getting humiliated. Okay, so what we're going to do... How are we going to do this poll? How are we going to do this poll? We're going to go right to left. Okay? So we're going to start off right centre-back options. And what you're going to do is literally just click on the option that you like for this position. Yoro could play there. Mazraoui could play there. De Ligt could. And off chance that Dalot could. I think that's a reasonable forward to put in for that. So let's go for that. So if you guys now open up in the chat, you should be able to see that. There we go. Steve with the 19-month membership. Time flies, big up the community and AJ. David, thank you very much, as always. Just legendary behaviour, very kind of you. 19 months is mental. That's the start of 2024. That is crazy. I feel like we've come quite a long way since then. But still, weirdly, we have similar conversations about United. A weird one, but thank you very much for the membership. And guys, if you're new around here, or perhaps you just forgot, I'll let you off on this occasion. But if you see someone donating, giving a membership, gifting a membership, whatever, I want to see that chat full of love hearts, flames, anything like that to say thank you. Because there's people like David giving these donations, these memberships, that keep the channel going. So make sure to say thank you. My voice is going. Make sure to say thank you. I've been full of some weird cold thing. And my voice is just dying because of it. I wouldn't let Dalot into Old Trafford, let alone the team. Well, my friend, it's a good job we're away. But also, why do you hate Dalot so much? What's the poll saying? The poll is 0% Dalot. Steve, you're not doing your job properly, mate. 9% De Ligt, 21% Mazraoui, and 70% Yoro. I'll leave it a little bit longer so we can get some more votes, but I don't think that is going to change. I think we are going to see Yoro dominating that poll. David being David, exactly. He's just a nice man. He's just a nice bloke, and he's a legend. Pressing high will help us. Look at Tottenham against City this season. Excellent point. Spurs pressed City very well, and City didn't really have an answer for it. I would say that about this City team. And I've seen a few people saying it. This isn't an original take. But it feels less pep. City don't feel as much of a pep team this year. Now, weirdly, this weekend, they might be closer to one because of injuries to players like Cherki, etc. But they don't feel like a normal pep side. And that's a bad thing, because Pep's a good manager. You want to be as pep as possible. Not being pep right now is a problem for City. There's something not quite right there. Isn't Dalot injured? Is Dalot out injured? Do we know that for sure? I thought he was a doubt, but not out. Dalot can be passive and sort of dumb in moments. That's fair. Yeah, I get a feeling he's injured. Like, yeah, sure he is, buddy. Low block usually results in more yellow cards to us, and maybe we also should avoid a shooting gallery on our new keeper. That's a good point as well, yeah. Or even if it's by India as well. Their strengths as goalkeepers, it's not dealing with crosses into the box for either of them, unfortunately. Maybe we don't want to sit deep and invite crosses to Haaland all day. So maybe we do need to get on the front foot. I think Pep's trying to evolve, but hasn't quite nailed it yet. Yeah, it feels a little bit in between. Dalot is a doubt, but you know how he is. Okay, so he's in the conversation, but we're not sure. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Let's have a look at the poll. Okay, Dalot did get his 1%. Whoever done that, shout out you. 1 vote for Dalot. 8% for De Ligt. 18% for Mazraoui. 73% for Yoro. And, I mean, I can't blame you. Yoro has had a very, very decent start to the season. Very good for such a young player. I think in 18 months, there's going to be serious conversations about the level that this guy can get to. But he's already a phenomenal footballer, and he's ours, and I love him. So, man like Lenny Yoro. Legend. Middle centre-back. Now, I'm going to take Fredrickson out of the conversation just because I don't see him starting the football match. In the middle, is it Maguire or is it De Ligt? It's not heaven. Not against Haaland. It's just not. And it's not Luke Shaw. He's not going to play as the central one. We're not going to see a Casemiro or Ugarte centre-back experiment, I wouldn't have thought. So Maguire or De Ligt? And for this one, we're not going to do a poll because I want to see a bit more of your reasoning. I want to hear your thoughts. We've said already, Maguire perhaps better in a low block, good on set pieces and things like that. De Ligt perhaps allows us to play a little bit higher, be a little bit more aggressive, a bit more recovery pace in a mid-block. But Maguire gives us the aerial from the City long ball. What do we think? What do we think? And also remember, you may say Maguire now. That doesn't mean De Ligt's out of the team. De Ligt can go and play left centre-back. He's more than capable of doing that. So just keep that in mind as well. You might say Maguire here. That doesn't mean De Ligt is out. He can play somewhere else. And that's the same for all of these players. Just because they don't win their first poll or their first little conversation doesn't mean they're out of the team. So just keep that in mind. Let's have a look in the poll. So I'm seeing De Ligt. No poll needed. De Ligt. Fredrickson must be traumatised after the Grimsby game. Yeah, it's why I just don't see him playing against Haaland. Maguire, physically bully Haaland. I like it. I'd love to see a little bit of reasoning. De Ligt for me, he hasn't done anything to be dropped, and Maguire hasn't done anything to force his way in. That's also a fair point. Again, if we're talking about consistency across the back line, that leans towards De Ligt being in favour. I think Haaland struggles against more aggressive defenders. Yeah, potentially. De Ligt and sub Maguire on for the late game clearances if we are up. Very good point. Very good point. De Ligt also allows us to squeeze up the back three of a mid-block and keep it congested. De Ligt is just a better player overall. De Ligt's been solid. Because of the Spurs' performance against City, the pressing or us being aggressive is very important. So I will take De Ligt there. I think they're all good points. I think the Maguire comments are also important. He is the better player in the air and perhaps on set pieces and things like that. But I would go De Ligt. I really like Steve's logic of just, why drop him? Sort of if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of job. And I think I like that. It would be a knock to De Ligt. He hasn't played much international football during the break, so he's fresh, he's ready to go. Yeah, why change it? Why drop him? So De Ligt comes into our team at centre-back, and I like that. Left centre-back. Left centre-back, I don't think there's too much discussion because I don't see, for this game, heaven coming in for Luke Shaw. Experience-wise, I don't see Amorim doing it for this game. The conversation we can open up for me is Mazraoui or Shaw. That's one that we could have. I think that's a more reasonable conversation because we could even see Euro shifts to the left. Mazraoui comes in on the right, for example. What are your thoughts here? What are your thoughts here? Oh yeah, just remembered. What do you think about the Ten Hag sacking? Is it a bit harsh decision or is it justified? I don't understand it, to be honest. I don't physically believe a football manager can be bad enough in 2 games to warrant being sacked. Unless perhaps you lost 15-0 in both. Then you could have the conversation. So I would assume that the Ten Hag sacking isn't entirely performance-based. I would assume there is something behind the scenes that we don't know about. Perhaps it's a little bit political, which is always really fun. In a football sense, it doesn't make sense. So I'm assuming there's something else going on there. I'm sure they got their reason. I don't know what it is. Sure for me. Let the 3 of them keep their spots and gel. I'm of the same opinion. Keep it the same. Keep it consistent. Mazraoui is right wing back. Exactly. Shaw probably doesn't come into the wing back conversation at the moment, whereas Mazraoui can. He can go play somewhere else. That's harsh. It's an internal issue for sure. There has to be, right? There has to be something. What kind of player is Bob? How to check him? Good conversation. Or good question, sorry. He's a dribbler. He's a nice direct player. He wants to just take people on. Proper winger. But he can go inside and out. He's like actually just a seriously gifted footballer. So he's aggressive. He'll look to take people on. Who's more suited to that? I actually don't know. I don't know that. I actually really like Mazraoui and Shaw. I think they're both really good footballers. I've made that quite clear over the years. But I don't know that either of them are actually like amazing 1v1 defenders. So that's something that I would keep an eye on. FP, good morning to you, my friend. I've just had the question. on the Ten Hag sacking. Was it harsh? And I said, football-wise, very, very harsh. Do you have a bit more info, because I know you followed it more, on what actually happened? I'm assuming there's something behind the scenes a little bit, right? A little bit political would be my guess. But if you do have info, that would be nice. Who was it who asked the question? I can't find it now. Can't find the question, but someone did ask about it. Like I said, if it's a football thing, it's beyond harsh. Mazraoui in the left defeats the purpose of a left-footed centre-back. Yep, I think that's reasonable. Sure, there's no need to rush Mazraoui. Also true, we don't need to push him back quickly and ruin him. No need to do that. Mazraoui, like we've said, does come into the wing-back conversation. I think Mazraoui and Maguire will come on around 70, 75 minutes. He does love changing his back three, doesn't he? He does love it. My opinion is that if Mazraoui is fully fit, he should start as the right wing-back because Ahmad is dominated physically by the opponent and Dalot is injured and not good enough. So it seems like Shaw is the one, right? Because we might need to use Mazraoui elsewhere, / we're trying to protect him a little bit. So just an update on the Ten Hag situation. FP says he had a falling out with the upper management. Basically, they never had faith in him from day one, and the second they saw an opportunity to get rid, they did. Seems like that. Seems like that. So I don't think it was particularly football related, even though we didn't have the most amazing start in terms of results. Anyway, that's our back three. That's our goalkeeper. Right now, it feels like our strongest. So that's good for Amorim to have those players available to him. I like those options. Happy days. Midfield time. Midfield time. And this is where we need to bring up this, not because either of these two, Mount or Cunha, would have started in midfield, but the fact that they can't start higher affects the midfield conversation. Because normally, so far this season, what we have seen is... Where is he? Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes as the two in midfield. They've sort of been the two doing that job. And then we've seen Mount, or it could be Cunha, in the left 10. But with Mount and Cunha out, does the conversation change? Does Bruno keep his place deeper? He'll play. Bruno will play. Does he play here? Or does he go there into the left 10? And that might be the conversation that we need to have. Maybe we need a poll on this. Bruno centre mid or left 10? Maybe we need to do that poll and then from there figure it out. By the way, guys, I can hear like the breeze knocking a door in the other room. Are you guys hearing that? And is that annoying? Or can you not hear it and it's fine and I'll just deal with it? Let me know. Anyway, Bruno poll. I think it's an important one, right? Because, for example, we could bring Kobe into a deeper role in midfield. We could bring Ugarte in. We could see Ugarte Casemiro. Or Bruno could keep his position deeper. And we could see Xerxes in the left 10. We could see, again, Kobe in the left 10. There's an interesting conversation here. There is an interesting conversation. Asking for FPL, will Cunha feature? It seems like he's going to be out for a few weeks. So, I don't think so. Unless we're being lied to again. You know, a player's injured. I don't know. Fernandes, centre mid or left 10? What do we reckon? Let's whack the poll in the chat. Bosh. FP, honestly, I'm quite positive. I'm confident that we can beat City. I'm gutted that we don't have Cunha. I can just imagine Cunha's ball carrying, driving at City. I can imagine Mount's intelligence in transition, the link work, destroying City. I'm gutted that we don't have those two. But I still think we've got enough that we can hurt him. I think we can hurt him. Bruno must play higher because he will aid in pressing because there's no Mount. Yeah, it's a fair point. We obviously know that Bruno, you know, it's not too much of a problem. He's not going to cry about playing left 10, is he? He's going to be happy there. Pushing Bruno into the 10 would almost be Ruben admitting that he is forcing Bruno in the squad by playing him deeper. I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Trying to think of the other side of the coin to it. Would be... It is, but it's also not. It might just be that he doesn't fancy Xerxes for this type of game. That he wants something different there. You know, if he doesn't want Xerxes left 10 and he sees Kobe as a midfielder, then Bruno is the natural one to push because he's always played there. You know, maybe that's the other side of it. I only got 45 points last week FPL. Need to get it together. Game week 2, I dropped like a 34-point week and nearly just gave up there. And then I've never given up on FPL halfway through a season. I nearly gave up game week 2. That was bad. That was really bad. And I still got Verts in my team stinking up the place. Honestly think Bruno should stay in midfield against City. The long balls will help. Yeah, okay, good point. Let's talk about some of the tactical stuff. Why would you play Bruno deeper? Well, first of all, he's got the energy to play next to Casemiro. If Casemiro starts, that is. You know, Casemiro hasn't got the most legs in the world. You get someone like Bruno in who can cover ground, sort of get about the pitch, scrap people. Lovely, he's good for that. Also, if we're trying to play a transitional style, winning the ball deep, looking to quickly pounce, Bruno's a good player to have in terms of his passing range. We'll likely see Mbumo in the right 10 over here. Having someone like Bruno who can quickly get the ball and yeet it out to him is useful. Although Casemiro could do that job. In terms of in the left 10, the benefit of that is he's not the same as Cunha, of course not. But he is in the sense of like he'll come towards the ball. It's not like suddenly putting a player in who's going to run in behind and shift the whole balance. Bruno, like Mount, like Cunha, would be happy to drop in and sort of overload the midfield at times, whilst, let's say, Mbumo and Sesko do more running. So perhaps that makes sense. We know that Bruno is just good in the final third, right? He's a goal scorer. He's a creator. Close to the box, he can cause problems. But deeper, he can do the progression work. But defensively, is he good enough? Depends if we're sitting in a block or if we're being aggressive. Was it Liverpool last season? We saw Ugarte and Kobe as the two in midfield, and they worked really well together. That was a very defensive performance, but those two really worked well together in that game. Casemiro against City gives me shivers. Again, something we've got to consider. If we don't want to play Casemiro for this game, let's say that means Ugarte comes in, well then who's the better Ugarte partner? Is it Kobe or is it Bruno? There's a lot to consider here. There is a lot to consider. Yeah, playing Bruno left 10 when you have two of that exact position injured isn't really an admission that that's his best. Yeah, it's sort of like our hand has been forced a little bit. It's not like we are ignoring an obvious left 10 to put him there. I see Dallo at right wing back. Yeah, of course, some of it is going to be injury dependent, but that would move Ahmad to the 10 with Mbumo. Oh, so you would say Ahmad and Mbumo as the two 10s. That's an interesting shout. I mean, I guess the conversation we could have as well is Bruno in the left 10. Could it, in theory, shape up more like Bruno goes in behind and it goes to more of a front two with Sesko and Mbumo, for example? Sesko and Xerxes, Mbumo and Xerxes, something like that. If Bruno starts in the 10, then Casemiro must start because of fast passing and the switch in attacks. Ugarte and Mainu don't give us that. That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Isn't Aït-Nouri injured? I quickly read up this morning before I started stream, and what I saw was that they think he's going to be the one of the ones that is okay to play. That they've got a few that are uncertain, but they think he'll kind of pass the fitness tests. Maybe I read a bad source. Maybe he is out injured. So if someone's got more reliable information, let me know. What would that mean for them if he doesn't play? Who would come in at left back? Is Nathan Ake fit? Rico Lewis, someone like that? Something to think about. Anyway, poll. Bruno. 108 votes, by the way. Thank you guys very much for getting involved. 71%. That's very one-sided. 71% going for Bruno in the left 10. Which means we have to have our midfield conversation. The two in here could be Casemiro, Ugarte, Kobe. Just looking through to make sure I'm not missing anybody, and I don't feel that I am. You know, we're not going to see one of the academy players coming for this game. It's very unlikely. Seen recent talks of could Mazraoui or even Dallo play centre mid. Again, this probably isn't the game that we do it. So, it's 2 from 3 there. What do we think? I'm going to let you guys give your thoughts initially, and then I'm going to come in with what I think. What about Gvardiol? Injured. He is out. There's a chance Stones is out as well. Yeah, they've got some problems. They've got Marmoush out. He picked up a knee injury in the international break. They've got a few problems. I watched bits of the Ivory Coast game. Ahmad kind of played as a left wing. Maybe there's something there. See, my brother said this morning, could Ahmad play left 10? And I was like, I don't know. I can't say I've ever seen him play left side. But if he did for the Ivory Coast, then that might be worth me looking at. So David prefers more of a Ugarte Bruno pivot with then Kobe and Mbumo in front. So no Casemiro in your team. What's your reason for that? What's your reason for no Cassie? Need all 3 against City? Should we just play with 12? We could do. Has to be Cassie Ugarte. Okay, so let's think out loud a little bit. Let's take a look at this. Start off individuals, what they bring. Casemiro, first of all, leader, experience. You need that in big games like this. A little bit of pressure on the manager, perhaps. You need a leader in the team. Casemiro is that. He's also incredibly effective where football matches are won, which is here and here. He's good in those areas. The problem, not the quickest player in the world. He doesn't cover ground particularly well. He tends to dive and sort of commit into tackles just because he knows he can't run backwards. Slight problem. Ugarte, not as big, not as strong physically, but a bit more scrappy. Covers the ground a little bit better. He sort of like jumps between players from tackle to tackle. He's a bit more of a feisty player, I would say. On the ball, not as expansive as Casemiro, but perhaps therefore a little bit safer. So more likely to retain the ball for United. So if that's the approach, Ugarte could make sense. Then we got Kobe. Again, not an amazing player when it comes to covering ground, a bit like Casemiro. You know, he's not going to sprint up and down the pitch all day. Not really his game. On the ball, though, he gives us the technical quality in midfield that no one else in the team possesses in terms of looking after the ball, particularly under pressure. Even if you're defending deep, he gives you those moments where you can sort of break out of the press. So that could be useful. If we sort of put them into duos, Casemiro, Ugarte, it would be dependent on the personnel at wing-back, but let's assume we're going to play at least one full-back at wing-back. For me, it just feels a bit too cautious. I don't know that we need 3 centre-backs, maybe 2 full-backs at wing-back, and then 2 sort of ball-winning midfielders. I don't know that we need that. Ugarte, Kobe, there's probably something in that. Again, we saw last season against Liverpool that it worked quite well. You get that blend of Ugarte sort of like nippy ability to sort of bite into tackles, Kobe with the more technical side. You probably get ball retention from these 2. You probably get 2 people that look after the ball. But if we're trying to play a transitional game, do they give us enough quick football? You know, you win the ball back and you're quickly looking to find a channel or quickly pounce forward. Do they give us enough there? Don't know. And then Casemiro, Kobe, on the ball gives us quite a nice blend. You've got Casemiro's passing range. You've got Kobe's sort of tight technical work to look after the ball. Quite nice. Off the ball, you'd be a little bit concerned defensively about the energy of the 2 of them. Perhaps if you're defending deep, it works, and we're in a block, maybe. But I think if it's a more open game, they might struggle defensively. So what do we reckon? What do we reckon? I love Ugarte, but his confidence is shot, so Mainu has to start and to give us a breather with his technical ability on the ball, playing with Cassie. I like it. Ugarte is just running and kicking people. He does that sometimes, yes. Probably Ugarte Mainu is more fitting for the Chelsea game. Enzo and Caicedo will skin Casemiro alive. Is Rodri fit? He's not injured. I believe he is now fit again, yes? I think he started the Brighton game before the international break. I can fit Casemiro into my midfield, but he lacks the intensity of Ugarte. Bruno is there because I think Mainu will fit nicely into that 10. Yes, a fair point. What if we play 3-6-1? Just play counter will do. Kidding. But it is an option away from home, like it actually is. Even though I don't want it to be, it is something that we could lean on, the transition. It is something to consider. The transition is important in this game. Like, we need to make that very clear. United have started the season brilliantly on transitions. And City haven't, defensively. This is the Spurs game for City. High on the right-hand side, loose ball from Bernardo Silva. He sort of, let's find the right tool. He sort of tries to like thread a ball through. He fails it. Spurs pick the ball up on counter-attack. I just think there's spaces here. I just think there's spaces everywhere when we look at City defensively. And I think these are things that United can exploit. They often, when they sort of defend a transition, they often seem to end up with like a back 3 like this, and then 1 in front of them. There's just spaces. If you look in particular, this zone here, in front of the wide player for City, I think there's space. There's also space here. And Rodri in the middle there, obviously a fantastic footballer, but he's not the quickest in the world. He's not like Declan Rice defensively, who absolutely munches ground and is like a cheat code to stop counterattacks. Rodri's not like that. His reading of the game, stuff like that, great. But he's not actually the quickest. The City defenders also aren't the quickest, nor expert 1-versus-1 defenders. So I think there is something you can get at, and Spurs had a lot of joy in these positions. Moving forward in transition, you can see they end up with nearly 5 attackers here. They just make a horrible final decision. You know, for me, that ball has got to be slid in behind, but it wasn't. He shot for some reason. But that was sort of the warning that City might struggle with transitions this season. Now we've got City in the black kit against Brighton, and we've got Brighton picking the ball up in a wide zone. Again, if we sort of look across here, you can see the 3 for City, and then we've got the 1 in front of them. And again, individually, I just don't think they're great at defending these spaces. So City got a problem. Every time they lose the ball, they look like they could concede. Brighton again come forward. The pass is slightly overhit into the middle. But look how quickly Brighton have got themselves into a great position. Again, on the counter-attack, Brighton coming forward. Again, you can see that City back 3. We don't need to mark it this time. But you can see the spaces sort of wide and in front of them. This is why I wanted Cunha. Can you imagine Cunha picking the ball up here with, let's say, Mbeumo up here running? That would be lovely. That would have been lovely. I wish we had that opportunity, that option this weekend. Sadly, we don't. But Bruno here picking the ball up with Mbeumo running on the far side? Possibly. Or is this more of a Xerxes that we need here? Or a Kobe who can carry the ball? I don't know. But the transitions are there. They are there. You can get at this City team. You can get into these positions really, really quickly. Even here, Brighton sort of send the ball long. The City defender goes up for the ball. Second ball drops. Here, it's headed forward. You can see already, this is the last minute of the game. In their last game before the international break. You can see it. The second that Brighton win this header and knock it forward. Look at the Brighton situation. Look at the players Brighton have got on that front line. Just ready to get at City. There's only 3 City defenders there. It's mental how weak they are at the moment in defensive transitions. That's a crazy situation to be in. Like, if let's just stop this and look for a second. Defensively, where the City defenders are, where the Brighton forwards are. It's a complete mismatch. It's a complete mismatch. And again, I can't help but think, you know, we had Cunha driving, lovely. But Mbeumo's running threat, Sesko's running threat. Can this be Bruno maybe from here, supplying them with passing? Possibly. Possibly. But you can get into good positions. And on this occasion, Brighton do make it count. I think there's a weakness defensively. So perhaps, we need to go for the players in midfield that can actually get the ball forward at speed. Which would maybe be Cassie and Bruno. Maybe. Is Cunha still injured? And then the next comment is, I'm hoping Mount is fit, given it was a precaution sub. I had a feeling, like 2 days ago, I sat there thinking, you know what? I think they're going to be okay. And I think they're going to play. I think it was just precaution. And then we saw this yesterday. Is there a chance this is a lie? You know, that we're like, oh no, they're injured. Bam, they're in the starting 11. Are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to lie like that? I don't know. I hope they're fit. Cunha, Mount, both of them in a game like this would be... It's made for them. It's literally made for them. Us playing City right now. Sort of heartbreaking that they can't play. I wish they could. They would have been so good. But still, we've got other players that can hurt them. And that is important. We've still got a lot of quality. Sesko is a forward who on his day can hurt anyone. And Mbeumo can do the same. Bruno can do the same. Kobe, Casemiro, we've got players of quality. A lot of them, actually. A lot of them. Anyway. Midfield 2. Because it will be a 2, realistically. Perhaps one from higher will drop deeper. But it will start as a 2. Who are we having? I think we need a poll. And let me just think if we've got enough options in the poll to do this. So, Bruno... No, not Bruno. Literally the one option that can't play there. Because we've got him higher. So, Mainu plus Casemiro. Then we got Mainu plus Ugarte. And then Ugarte plus Cassie, right? Is that correct, I believe? By the way, guys, whilst I'm just typing up this poll, if you could quickly leave a like on the stream, please. And subscribe if you haven't already. That would be amazing. That'd actually be really kind of you. Like, really, really kind. Anyway, poll in the chat. Let's hope I've done it right. Kobe plus Cassie. Kobe plus Ugarte. Cassie plus Ugarte. Bosh. There we go. Sorted. Classic Sir Alex Ferguson mind games. I really hope so. I want to see that team who's on Sunday with both of them in the 11 or in the squad. It'd be great. It'd be great. Yeah, just lie to him a little bit. Ben Jacobs reported it. That's the concern. He's been very good this year. The problem is that United are too passive. Even when we win the ball back, it's usually in deep areas, so it's harder to exploit the space wide of the City defence. It's a fair point. I can't quite figure out how I think Amorim's going to approach it. We saw last season in these big games, not all of them, but majority, I guess. It was cautious, it was defensive, it was sit deep, and it was transition. But then that Arsenal game just wasn't. It was very different. Now, granted, I think Arsenal were poor on the day. I think it's rare that Arsenal play that badly. But we also made them play badly to an extent as well. We were on the front foot. We were aggressive out of possession. We pressed high when we could. We also, of course, had our moments in a block. I think we're always going to do that. But we were aggressive. We were front-footed. We did take the game to Arsenal, and we saw how much that worked for us. So I don't know. I can't figure out what approach I think we're going to take. When's the conference? The conference, I think, is 1:15 in terms of British summertime, so about an hour and a half away. Haaland will be on fire after his 5-goal frenzy. Time to put that fire out. Yes, please. Yes, please. When Ugarte is good, he's amazing, but when he's bad, he's terrible. Yeah, I kind of see that. You don't get your 7 out of 10s from him, do you? Xerxes has to start. We'll need someone to get hold of the ball. Let me quickly hear from you guys in chat, because I'm struggling with this a little bit. Do you think we are going to see a front-footed United, like the Arsenal performance? Granted, we lost, but, the idea was to be on the front foot as much as possible. Or do you think we will see a more cautious, pragmatic, sort of like 5-4-1, not press crazy high, sort of contain and transition? What do you think we'll see? What do you think we'll see? City will expect us to play deep in a passive game. Let's surprise them just like the Arsenal match. I like a surprise. As long as it's a good one, I like it. So the poll has gone Kobe and Casemiro. I'm trying to think what that means in terms of play style. In terms of the way that we can approach the game. What's the effect of that? You guys have gone for Mainu and Cassie. That is what the poll has said. Have we got Chad in the chat with no profile picture? Chad, what's happened? You're a shadow of your former self, mate. But good morning to you, my friend. I hope you're well. That's so weird not seeing your picture next to it. Anyway, what was the poll? Casemiro and Kobe. Okay. Another question for you guys as well. Lots of questions coming your way. If you saw this team sheet, all right, assume we got wing-backs, striker, right 10. This 11 gets released. We see Casemiro, we see Kobe, and we see Bruno. We voted for it this way round, right? Do you think it would be different in the moment? Like 3:15 on Sunday. These 3 names are on the list. Will your instinct be, Bruno double pivot? Or will it be, Kobe double pivot? What do you think? Because I don't know what mine is. Kobe and Cassie won't work against City. Well, a solid amount of people have voted for it. What I'm trying to figure out is, would that allow us to play on the front foot in the way that we want to? Chad, it doesn't look right, mate. We need your profile picture. Would these two, defensively, be able to play on the front foot? That's the question. And I don't know if they can. Steve, don't lie to him. Chad, you look horrible about it. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you. It makes me feel sick looking at it right now. Yeah, can these two play on the front foot? Can these two go after City and press? Because the thing is, right, with City, we're not talking about Arsenal. Obviously, we're talking about City. But you know what I mean? When we talk about Arsenal or Liverpool, we talk about their midfield and we think physicality combined with the technical ability. I don't think this City team's got it so much. Like Bernardo Silva, for example, if he starts, physically there's nothing impressive about him. Like, I'll just outright say it. Great player. Great player, of course he is. But he doesn't cover ground well. He's not big. He's not strong. You can knock him off the ball. He's not like a physical specimen. And Rodri, obviously tall and strong, but again, not the quickest in the world. Not quite Casemiro, but you know what I'm saying. Reinders is a bit different. He can get about a bit more. He's a bit more athletic, I think. But, you know, when we play Liverpool, we see Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and let's say Curtis Jones. You're like, wow, they are all athletic freaks. We've got a serious problem. I weirdly don't get the same from City. Maybe that's just me. Interested to hear your thoughts. But I don't get as scared. Obvious quality, but like the physical side of the game, it doesn't scare me quite so much. If you said to me, we're going with Casemiro and Kobe against Liverpool and we're going to try and press them, I'd be horrified. Like, I'd be terrified of the game. Is this a game where we can do it more? Or, because we think City perhaps aren't quite as amazing physically as what some other teams are, is that when you go stronger? I don't know. I would assume Kobe is the 10. Yeah, I think I would as well. Like, as it was released, reading through my phone, trying to figure out where everyone is, I think I would assume this means Kobe 10. In your opinion, is this City team more press resistant than Arsenal at the moment? I'm still in two minds if we should be front footed or not. The weird thing is, I think Arsenal normally are quite press resistant and they're good in the first phase. They also go long quite a lot, but they just weren't on it in that first game, was also a lot of it. City haven't been either, though. They've really got the personnel. I think John Stones, in particular, is one of the best ball-playing centre-backs in the world. We know how good Rodri is. Silva's press-resistant. Reinders is. Nunes can be. Aït-Nouri is. Diaz, not so much, but a lot of the time he has the game in front of him. Donnarumma's an interesting one. Bit of a weird signing because he's not a ball player. He's capable of a pass, but he's not Edison in the first phase. So perhaps there's a chance City are a bit more direct. They use the long ball a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. Rodri is obviously physically impressive, but he's been injured for 37 years. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, Rodri, tall and strong, and obviously collectively, quality-wise, it's off the charts. They're insane as a trio. But physically, it feels like a really slow midfield battle here. Like, if you show me, like, Casemiro's on the pitch, Bernardo Silva's on the pitch, Rodri's on the pitch, I'm like, wow, that is going to be... there's going to be some space in midfield. If there's someone more nippy, they could really make the rest of them look a bit stupid. Particularly when I don't think either team is great at defending transitions at the moment as well. Maybe. Where is the message that I wanted to read? I can't find it. There was a message that I want to read because I saw the start of it and the first words had me interested, but I can't find it now. Where's it gone? This shows how hard the managers have it, says Daniel. Good morning, Daniel. He has to think about each player to start without aid, whilst we have people brainstorming together. Exactly. We've got 500 brain cells being banged together trying to figure this out. We always, right, it's not just a United fan base, it's every fan base. We are so toxic when a starting 11 comes out. It's like, I like it, but I would have done that differently. You can pick any United 11 or any City 11 or any England 11 or any China 11 or any Grimsby 11. You can pick any 11 for any football team, and there's going to be pros and cons with regardless of which player you put in the team. It's so difficult to actually do it. It's tough. There's a reason they paid a lot of money to do the job, because it is difficult. Because you do pick a Casemiro because he brings us a passing, but he's weaker physically. Or like you might bring Kobe because of his ability to look after the ball, but he doesn't have the intensity. Or you might go, I don't know, this player because they're tall but they can't move as well. There's so much to it. So much to it. Burnley were able to cause us problems, so our defence is not that good either. Yeah, I can see this game opening up to be quite transitional at times. And the reason for that is because United are transitional. We know that. We're quick on the break. When we play fast, we're dangerous. Most direct team in the Premier League this season. I also think City are becoming more direct. And this is what I was talking about earlier with them being less pep, if you know what I mean. Bob, Haaland, Doku are all players that want to be quite direct and aggressive. They used to have Grealish on the left wing who would sort of look after the ball. Sometimes they'd go Grealish and Bernardo Silva in a big game. And that meant they don't want to be hit on the break. They want to keep the ball when they go wide. Suddenly now they've got wingers that take more risks, are more direct. But that means they lose the ball more as well, which can obviously lead to those transitions. So it could be quite hectic at times. We've got Steve Brooks in the chat with the 2-month membership. Thank you very much, my friend. And a question. Is Rodri going to be able to cover the spaces? I don't know. Like I said, I can just see Casemiro and Rodri in midfield, and I just look at them and think, if there was Acuna, if we had Acuna driving at Rodri, or if they can get perhaps Reinders driving at Casemiro, or I don't know if Cherky had been fit with sort of like how nimble he is and how agile he is, I think there could be serious problems in this game. Serious problems. I think there's going to be space to hit. I think there's going to be real space to hit. But I thank you very much for the membership. Very kind of you. An hour in and we're halfway through the team. Yeah, this isn't just a big stream. It's a river. I like it. But yes, it has been a while since the last stream. The poll ended up Cobby and Cassie, though, didn't it? Yeah. To be fair, I think the last bit should be a little bit quicker. Because we now move to wingbacks. And when I'm looking at my wingbacks, actually there's some options. Ahmad feels like the fan default answer on the right-hand side, right? Because we like him. He's sort of a fan favourite. He's a more attacking option. We like to see more attacking options where possible. But we know defensively he has his weaknesses. One being he's not a defender. But he is an option. We've also got Mazraoui. Is an option. How fit is he? Is he ready to come and play 60, 70 minutes at the Etihad? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. Not as attacking as Ahmad, but technically always very secure, just intelligent, reads space well. He's just a clever boy. Clever boy. Dalot, I've lost. Dalot is an option for the right-hand side. Maybe injured. I don't actually know. Like, apparently he's injured. I get the feeling it's like he's injured, guys, but he's not really. I think he'll be in the squad. I would be very surprised if he's not in the 18. Or how many subs are you allowed these days? I don't know. But I'd be surprised if he's not in the matchday team. I'd be surprised if he's not there somewhere. Bench or starting 11. Then we've also got Dorgu on the left-hand side, who is definitely an option for us. Always an option for us. But we also have the fact that Dalot and Mazraoui could both go play on the left as well. So, basically, over to you guys in the chat. Unpack that. What do we think of the wing-back situation? Who's going to be starting? My logic always is I would like to see a winger at wing-back because I'd like us to be front-footed. That's always my thought. Talking about United, I always want us to be a team that challenges people. So that would push me in the direction of Ahmad, for sure. But I'm always a little bit concerned about Ahmad defensively from this position. So I need some help. Especially the yapping. Hey, there's plenty more yapping coming. I loved your balanced analysis video of Le Mans. Thank you very much. If City are being more direct, then would it be fair to say it will be another United counter-attacking team? Possibly. Dorgu and Dalot for 60 and then Ahmad on for the W. What do I'm trying to think. First of all, what I would do, but also what I actually think is most likely. Dorgu feels likely. I'm not confident on this conversation at all, either way. But if I had to guess, if someone was like, get the United wingbacks right, if not, we'll ban you on Club Penguin, then I'd probably guess these two. I'd probably go these two if I'm trying to get in Amorim's head, what he would do. The only thing I don't like about it is, one, it's 5 defenders, which is never great. I just think we can always play with 4, so that's not great. The other thing is, with no Cunha, we lose a little bit of dribbling now, because now we'd have Mbumo in the team as like a winger profile. But outside of that, we wouldn't really have anything. We wouldn't have a proper ball carrier. Obviously, Cobby can do it in some of the tight space work, but that would leave me a little bit concerned. Amorim would be afraid of Doku 1 versus 1 with Yoro. That's fair. That is fair. Someone said it earlier as well. Where is he? Ahmad. He can leave spaces. He can leave Yoro a little bit isolated. Particularly where we've got Mbumo right 10 as well. We can leave Yoro a bit isolated. Doku, if he plays, he's not got to a stage in his career yet where he's got amazing end product. But as a dribbler and someone certainly to gain territory and go at a defender, he's good. He's very dangerous. He just gets territory for his team because he just forces people back towards their own goal constantly. Rip AJ's Club Penguin account. Club Penguin over Tinder. Facts. I don't want to lose it, man. I don't want to lose it. So hopefully I was right. I'm being spam messaged. What's this? Anything interesting do we reckon, guys? It's a load of waffle. Mazraoui will pocket Doku again. Weirdly, I just don't think Mazraoui will play, and there's not a bit of logic going into that. I just don't get the vibe that he's going to play, and I don't know why. I don't see Amorim playing Bruno inside forward even without Cunha and Mount. Do you think that would maybe be Cobby then? That way around. God, talk about Grealish, by the way, Steve. What start to the season he's had? Imagine will 100% play. I don't know if... I just got a weird... Like I said, there's no logic behind it at all. I just got a weird feeling he won't start. It could be this, couldn't it? It could be this. We've seen this before. Throwback to last season. Those wonderful times. It could be this. It could be. It could be. Mazraoui's potential deliveries from the right for Šeško. Yeah, true. I also think Mazraoui perhaps has the intelligence to get a lot out of Mbumo as well. Just a natural sort of fullback winger dynamic. I think that could work quite nicely. Because Maz, he can go inside as well, can't he? He's not restricted to just overlapping. He can do that other side. Mazraoui Dalot double pivot. Steve, I'll give you 20 quid if that happens, mate. From the start. Those were the wing-backs in that Anfield game, to be fair. Yeah, there were quite a lot of games, weren't there, really, where we saw these two as the two wing-backs, particularly before Dorgu signed. Šeško is a must. Yeah, I think he'll be in the team. Sorry, Loki's just walked in the room. All right, mate. Hello, Loki. He is a handsome fella. He is a handsome fella. If you want to see Loki, by the way, join the Discord server. There's a link in the description. Check it out. There is more than just pictures of my dog. There's some football talk as well, so check out the Discord if you are interested. What do we do here? Mazraoui is intelligent to overlap well. How do we feel about him fitness-wise? Because the more we're talking about this, from a technical point of view, I quite like the idea of it. Because I think his intelligence could be really good with Mbumo. I think his intelligence could be... But he lacks some of the power of a wing-back, is the only problem. He lacks some of that pure speed. I'm a little bit stuck, my friends. Poll. If in doubt, poll it out. Here we go. Right. Wing back. We've got Mazraoui. We've got Dalot. And we've also got Ahmad. So we'll do right side first, and then we'll figure out the left from there. Simple, right? Straight backing in from the start. Yeah, like I said, technically there's something I like there. I just don't know if he's actually even fit enough. Šeško and Xerxes in the pivot for the height and athleticism. Big brain. Dalot and Dorgu to start for me. We need pace. I guess again, if we're talking about transition, particularly when we break down the left but then switch to the right, having like Mbumo and then with Dalot overlapping, Dalot's going to give us more than Mazraoui in that instance because of the athleticism. Currently Ahmad winning the poll though. Now Mazraoui. Dalot nowhere to be seen in terms of winning the poll. Okay, so this is pretty much a straight shootout. Mazraoui versus Ahmad. So if you have a strong opinion on this, or a weak one, get in a poll and let me know who you'd prefer. Mazraoui can drag out their left back and make a nice pass into space to Mbumo. Yeah, I do think, probably down the right side, Dalot's a good footballer, Ahmad's a good footballer. I think Mazraoui's an intelligent footballer. I think he gets space a little bit better. And in terms of getting the most out of Mbumo, that could be quite useful. I do worry a little bit about physically the athleticism as a wing-back. We had that concern last season as well. He doesn't really have that stop-start ability to go past a man. But sort of like his space creation and manipulation and understanding with Mbumo as well. Kind of like it. I kind of like it. I think correct-footed wing-backs, especially for deep progression and potential crosser to Šeško. I'd love us to exploit that. I mean, we might as well put Šeško in the team and we'll put Mbumo in the team. There's no way they're not winning their polls. There's no way they're not. There's no way they're not. They're in the team, 100%. Certainly poll-wise, they'll be in the team. So it is this wing-back conversation. Would Mazraoui suit right centre-back to return from injury more? Yeah, possibly. Could Yoro go to the left? Maz comes in at right centre-back. But again, there's that vibe, the conversation we had earlier of just don't change the back three. If we struggled last season to play consistent back threes. Like I said, in terms of consecutive Premier League games, We had twice we played the same back three 2 times in a row, but never more than 2 times in a row in the league under Amorim last season. This season, we've seen these three games in a row. If we can stretch that to 4, 5, 6, I think we should try. I think it'd be good to build that understanding, especially because other teams may not have that luxury so much because they're in European football or they can beat teams like Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. So they're going to have more matches. This actually might give us an opportunity to build a steady team from the back. You know, Liverpool, for years, you've been able to predict their back four. They'll occasionally have a knock, of course they will. But you can predict their back four. For Arsenal, you know who the centre-backs are going to be, then it's which of the full-backs. But having that consistency and that foundation is so useful for the rest of the team to build on. If we've got an opportunity to do that, I'd like to try. I would like to try. So the poll is still in Mazraoui's favour, but it's fairly close to Ahmad still, so I'm going to leave the poll up a little bit longer. Ahmad doesn't link with Mbumo. They have zero chemistry. I think what it is they've got similar instincts, so they want to do similar things instinctively. I think with time, I think you can help them understand it a bit more. I think even just against... what game was it? Grimsby, the Mbumo goal. Said it yesterday. I think Ahmad's movement is better there than what we saw against Arsenal first game of the season. I thought Grimsby was water under the bridge. I will never forget Grimsby. That is etched into my brain for eternity. What a weird game, by the way. That was good fun. Ahmad would be better as a sub versus tied defence. Yeah, I like it. It's an attacking way. You know, late on in the game, we want to get City. Tired legs, get Ahmad on. It seems good. Seems good to me. But we've also got to consider that Aït-Nouri is a serious attacking threat. Like, if I could have signed a left wing back for United, it would have been him. Which sort of points to what you get in terms of an attacking sense. He's a very, very good player. Can carry, can dribble, can cross, can create. Useful. So he will be doing some work pushing us back. Would that be a problem up against Ahmad? You know, Aït-Nouri and Doku up against Ahmad and Yoro? Just even saying that out loud makes me think Mazraoui's going to play. Or Dallo if he's fit. Ahmad's cutbacks rise too high. He needs to play it on the ground. I think his delivery into the box in general could do with a little bit of work. The poll is literally 43-43. And then Dallo. Get in the poll, Mazraoui or Ahmad, who would you prefer to see? Just saying this out loud, this little situation over here, makes me think it needs to be Mazraoui or Dallo. I'd probably go Dallo for fitness reasons and athleticism. But I say fitness reasons. He's also got a knock. So maybe that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. The Grimsby match will haunt us forever. Yeah. Forever. Think Ahmad off the bench. If you think that, get in the poll and vote it. I'm just trying to think. If we end up, let's say it's Mazraoui and Dallo, or Dorgu and Dallo even, plus 3 defenders, plus Casemiro Kobe, is there enough attacking talent? We keep talking about... We're talking about a weak City defence. I know it's Manchester City. They're a good football team. Of course they are. They've got a lot of quality. We need to be careful. Blah, 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 all that waffle. We're talking about a weak City here. We're talking about a City team with injuries and also with weaknesses. With serious defensive weaknesses in transition. Are we being too, like... Are we being too respectful? Should we not go after them? Should we not be trying to get at them? Is there, I don't know how. Is it Ahmad at wingback, who is currently winning the poll, to be fair? Is there a way to be more aggressive? Is it a midfield decision that we can make to be more front-footed? Is it in the back three, another fullback, for example? Is it more of a winger at wingback? Maybe we're being too kind to see. Maybe we should look to attack them, properly attack them. And to be fair, you guys have voted for that. Ahmad 45%, Mazraoui 41%, Dallo 14%. So Ahmad at wingback is what you guys have voted for. And what's weird, right, and this is where it does feel a little bit weird to talk about. If you know, I've said I'm a little bit concerned by that. But if we were in a back four and we had a right, let's say it was like Mazraoui instead of Yoro, for example, and it was Ahmad in front of them, I wouldn't be sitting there going, Ahmad's not good enough defensively. I'd be saying he's a hard-working winger who will help out our fullback. It's a weird one. It's weird how the conversation shifts. Anyway, the only conversation left is left wing back. Has Ahmad ever lost a poll? I would love to go back through the records and figure that out. Left wing back could be Dalot, or it could be Patrick Dorgu. What do we reckon? What do we reckon? It could be Mazraoui, actually, to be fair, but I cannot be bothered to change the poll, so we're going to have to stick with these two for now. This is the last decision, the last conversation to have. And then our team is there. And weirdly, like we've said already, this lineup could be released and we might be wrong, like with what we've got, because it could be Bruno deeper, copy further forward. I'm being spammed. I just got a notification, or I just got a Gmail saying you're now live on YouTube, which is really useful. Really useful. What would I prefer? The problem we get the second Cunha comes out of the team, and this is just a problem with no Cunha. We lack something, don't we, down that left? Whether it's Bruno high or whether it's Cobby high, it's not the same. It's not a proper dribbler carrier. And I've said this a lot with the squad building. A direction I wish United had gone with the transfer business was I wish we had found like our Ahmad for the left-hand side. And like an attacking left wing back. Because on the right, we can go attacking with Ahmad, or we can go a bit more cautious with Dalot, for example. On the left, we only really have fullback options. I wish we had that extra player who could be an attacker that side. I'm still annoyed that we haven't got that. Because Cunha out of the team, now we're lacking something. This side is immediate. We've got loads of left hands at the club, but one of them comes out, actually, and suddenly we feel a little bit light there. I trust Dorgu more. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, this poll does not need to stay up long. 73% Dorgu. We're going to wrap it up there because, yeah, that's pretty decisive. So, you guys have gone for this as a starting 11. And I tell you what, I think I agree that this is what Amorim will do in terms of personnel. Apart from, I'm not sure if it'll be by India in goal. I think he might come in. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if he would go Ahmad. I could see Dalot playing. Apart from that, Yoro, Delic, Shaw, Casemiro, Cobby, Bruno, Dorgu, Shesko, and Bumo, I think they'll all play. It's just goalkeeper, right wing back, I'm not quite as sure on. You guys can let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. David in the chat with our gifted membership. David, thank you very, very much, my friend. Guys, you know what to do. You're doing it already, to be fair. Love hearts, flames, everything to say thank you to David because he's an absolute legend. David, thank you very much, mate. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you again. Don't forget that Xerxes can play left 10. Yeah, he's definitely an option. Definitely an option for us in that role. Again, he's not the ball carrier, though, in the same way, is he? Not quite. Doesn't have that same arrogance almost with the way that he attacks teams. You know, and Bumo and Cunha have got an arrogance because they're good at football. Like, you can tell when they pick the ball up, even the opposition just know they're good. They know they're in a little bit of trouble. I think we lose something without Cunha. But obviously, you know, of course we lose something without Cunha. He's a great footballer. We've also got Steve Brooks in the chat gifting a membership as well. Steve, thank you very much, my friend. You absolute legend. You absolute legend. Thank you very much. And my people, again, you know what to do. Love hearts for that man. Steve and David, thank you both very, very much. Josh at 10 is peak after an hour of football. Real. That's potentially an obvious sub. If we need a goal, Xerxes could easily come on for Cobby, for example, and Bruno could go deeper, and Xerxes comes left 10. If the situation is the opposite, obviously, perhaps Ugarte for Cobby makes a lot of sense. Even if it started this way round, for example, you could still do Ugarte for Cobby and then swap them around. Just looking at the subs, trying to see what we've got. It's a little bit light this week. Obviously, when you've got injuries, that's going to be the case. Xerxes is one that I would expect to see from the bench. Ugarte as well. If he doesn't start, you'd see him from the bench, I would imagine. Mazraoui, I would expect to get some football. Dalot, if he's fit, and Maguire, I could see those guys being the subs. Which, I don't know, it's not bad. It feels like it's lacking the game changer. A little bit, you know. But again, that's what happens. You can't completely rebuild a new squad in one summer window. So we're going to be light somewhere. It seems like it's the attack at the moment. Maybe midfield as well, which isn't ideal. No Mount and Cunha in the squad. It does hit us. It does hit us a little bit. The bench isn't as strong. But it's not horrendous. You know, like Xerxes isn't a bad option to have from the bench. I think they can all make a difference. You probably just lack that, you know, here's a winger to go and cook someone. But that's where we are with the squad, so we can't really change that. What we can do is predict the scoreline. Score predictions in the chat, please, my friends. Whether you want to base it off of our 11 that we've created, the 11 you think Amorim will go for, or what you personally would go for. I want to hear score predictions. Steve has said, what is the schedule for the next live show? 29 memberships on offer if we win. Well, that is mental. If you do that, fair play to you. Hopefully United win. Stream should be Tuesday. I don't quite know the topic just yet. That might be dictated by what happens at the weekend. But Tuesday, hopefully. Or it will be Tuesday. I just don't know what the topic will be. But it will be Tuesday. See you later, Daniel, mate. Thank you very much for getting involved, my friend. His last involvement is a 3-0 prediction for United. 3 points. Shesko and Bumo and a Bruno penalty. Lovely. Maguire's a striker in the 90th minute. Seen it before. 3-2 United W. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. 3-1 United. I'd love that. 2-1 says Steve with Bruno and Yoro as the scorers. Oh, yeah. If you are a member, on YouTube, go to your emojis, open it, and some of the United players will be in your emojis. So you can use that for your prediction. So if you want to predict like Xerxes is going to score, you've got a Xerxes emoji. My personal prediction is 2-1 United, but I'm not sure on my goal scorers right now. Let me think. Let's take a look at this City team. Where do I think our goals are coming from? I think... apologies. Sleepy. I do apologise. I think United go 1-0 up. I think Mbumo scores in some sort of fast-breaking scenario. Whether that's high press, win the ball back, or low block transition. I think Mbumo scores with space, basically. 1-0 United. City reply with a goal from... I want to say Doku for some reason. I got Doku to score in my head. I'm not too sure why, but I have. So that's 1-1. And then United nick it 2-1 late on with a goal from... No, I'm not feeling Dorgu. Not a centre-back goal this week. Casemiro probably won't be on the pitch because I'm thinking like a 75th minute winner. It wouldn't be Mbumo again, would it? It wouldn't, would it? Ahmad from the bench? No, we've got Ahmad starting. Ignore that. But Ahmad? Shesko? Because we haven't got tons of striker depth. Xerxes from the bench? Bruno? I'm going to say... You know what? I'm going to go to the two signings. Mbumo and Shesko in a 2-1 win. 2-1 win for Manchester United at the Etihad. That would be lovely. That would be lovely. Let's get back to the chat. FP says 1-1 with a goal from either Ahmad or Mbumo. Mbumo or Shesko plus 2 Bruno goals. Yes, please. 2-1 without Bayindir. 4-1 with. As in 2-1 win without. 4-1 loss with, I assume you're saying. Bruno as a central midfielder with Kobe in the 10 could help us in transition. Definitely possible. Our man AJ is battling the urge to sleep after this stream. Yeah. Henrik in the chat with the 8-month membership. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. Haaland, no servants. I got a feeling we might pocket Haaland. Oh my, please do not clip that. But I got a feeling we might. I got a feeling De Ligt might do him in, you know. De Ligt might do him in. I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Thank you very much for the membership as always, though, and for the 8 months of support. That's insane. Thank you very much. I think De Ligt might do him, you know. Yeah, I'm happy. 2-1 United. Mbumo, Doku, Shesko, it's a day for the forwards. It's a day for the forwards. Did you change the lighting on a skincare routine? You are looking smooth right now. Well, the lighting's the same, so maybe it's just the old smooth skin, you know. We've also got FP in the chat with a 9-month membership as well. FP, thank you very much. Saying the head-to-head record versus City away. Well, you got the away record. Lovely. Played 93, won 35, drawn 25, lost 33. So our win rate is 37.63%. I think we're going to win. I think that's going to say wins 36. I do. I think it's going to say wins 36. I believe that. I truly believe that. It's going to say it this weekend. Thank you very much for the membership, as always, my friend. Didn't realise I had the milestone. Yeah, 9 months is a shift and a half. Thank you very much, mate. Imagine Le Mans playing and keeping a clean sheet against City. Yeah, it'd be huge, right? It'd be massive for him. It'd be massive for the whole squad if we win this football match in any way. Because they'll know they should have beat Arsenal with the performance on the day. And the fact that Arsenal were there for the taking. We know we haven't had a great start to the season. Beating City would be huge. It would be massive. Especially then going into Chelsea. You know, it'd be big. Yeah, FP is a legend around these parts. Literally, he was here for the very first stream ever on this channel. An icon. I really like Joshua Zirkzee very well, and I want him to start with Brian and Bumo. Is that in place of Shesko, or are you putting them in the front three together? We have to score first, get the second before half-time, park the bus, and get the subs on early. I'll take it. Honestly, this is one of those games, it's City, right? I don't care how we do it. Yes, in an ideal world, we're front-footed, attacking, we pin them back, we break them down, we score goals, have a load of fun. I don't care if we have 1% possession, but that 1%, it just flicks off someone's backside and goes in, and we win 1-0. I'll take it. Just beat City. Just beat City. Just one of those games, I'd love a good performance. It'd be amazing. But just go beat them. Just go beat them, because they're fun to beat. They are fun to beat. If we beat City and put them in the bottom three, I may drink beer. Exactly that. Other than Haaland, City's attack doesn't look impressive. I think there's a lot of promising quality. There's a lot of potential there. And players that like can produce moments, but not necessarily like the finished article. Yeah, Bob and Doku. I have more concerns versus Sunderland and Brentford than I do versus City. That is strange. That is strange indeed. But we know under Amorim, we tend to do better against the bigger teams. So maybe this suits us. Steve versus Steve. Tell you what, if United win 10-0 this weekend, I will arrange a stream where we get Steve and we get Steve and a rap battle. Okay? I feel like the community needs that. So if we win 10-0 this weekend, prepare yourself for that. Anyway, apart from that, you know, the potential rap battle, I think we are finished for today's stream. I think we've covered everything. We take a bit of a look at City, the United 11, how we think we should set up, and had some really good conversations there, by the way. Like, really good conversations there. And I'm quite happy with the team. I'm quite happy with what we've got there. The injuries are so frustrating. Come at a really annoying time. But I think we've got a team there that can win this football match. And I am quite comfortable. I'm quite comfortable. Comfortable? I meant to say confident. I used the word comfortable because I saw Steve's message. I'm quite confident that United will win this weekend. I'm going for a 2-1 win. And then hopefully when we stream next week on Tuesday, we're going to be full of positivity, full of good vibes, talking about a positive United team that maybe can take on the world and win the Premier League. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but who knows? It's fun to do it. But today, see, my 11 was similar to your guys, right? If not the same, actually. I think the thumbnail 11 is the 11 that you guys came up with. Weird. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I will see you. There's going to be a video later today. There's going to be a video tomorrow. There's going to be a video Sunday. There's going to be a video Monday. Hopefully, either Sunday or Monday's video is how United beat City. How United steamrolled City. How United demolished, annihilated, whatever, City. I just want to make that video. I want to make that video. That is my aim for the weekend. Speaking of, I hope you guys have a good weekend. But for now, we are finished. Nothing else to talk about. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this stream. Thank you very much for the support, the gifted memberships, the super chats and all of that stuff. And also the likes, the votes and the polls and anyone that's subscribed. If you want to keep waffling about football, head over to the Discord server. There is a link at the top of the chat right now. Head over there and just waffle about football. And also, there's pictures of dogs. If that isn't a reason to join, I don't know what is. So head over there and check it out. But apart from that, we are finished. So